Wonderful. So, if we can have Paul come and join us, who's going to do a talk around face fit testing.
We most certainly can. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed that. I'm now sold on needing a net on my roof, quite frankly. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Um, I've got to try and follow that now and say welcome to the wonderful world of GVS. So I'll share my screen real quick and whip through some slides and talk about why it's quite so important. But what I'll do first is I'll share that screen because I couldn't see to share it. So screen two. So first of all, thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to do this one. It's something really important, and I'll go at a fair pace and give plenty of time for questions because this is all about protecting you, your team, and the people around. So a quick agenda. So a quick introduction to who we are. What is occupational lung disease? Because that's a horrible thing that we're going to try and at least tell you how it happens, why it happens, and how much it happens. How can we prevent it? What are the controls? So face fit testing is the purpose of the day. Um, who are we and how can we help protect you? And before I move on, the one thing I'd say, having done safety products for 15 years, is if you slip over and you bash your knee, you recover from that and you see it and you know straight away and you know something's wrong. With occupational lung disease, this happens in 15, 20 years. And you don't know it happens and it's not reversible and it's the real nasty, horrible one. Hence why I found my way into trying to teach people about it and, you know, do the best to protect people. Conscious I can't see the chat, so what I'll do with these slides is there's bits of this that are interactive. I'm just going to give you the answers and hopefully it's useful. So most of this is fairly horrible, but there's a stat 1,602 deaths happen a year in the UK. If everybody wants to have a quick think and a guess at what that might be, on the basis that I'm talking to you about your lungs, um, and we'll see if there's any interesting thoughts that people will have. Share them, put them in the chat if you'd like to. But I'm going to give the answer in three, two, one. So that's the number of deaths on the road each year. Now that surprises a lot of people because people expect it to be higher. When we do this interactively, some people guess. When they get that, they go, "We thought it'd be tens of thousands." Some people even say hundreds of thousands, and you kind of go, "That'd be, the news would be full of it, wouldn't it?" Where do we play? So again, save you guessing, 12,000. 12,000 lung disease deaths each year are linked to past exposures at work. So that's anything from steelworks, manufacturing plants, the work that you guys do and your teams do, 12,000 every year, which is a crazy number, to be honest, especially because we've known about this in terms of respiratory lung disease for before the war. We've known about this for a long, long, long time. So, why are we well placed to tell you about it? Who are we, or who am I? My name's Paul Wilson. I represent a company called GVS. So, GVS are a filters business. A lot of people haven't heard of us. Most of what we do, we don't put our logo on, but we actually produce over 4.2 billion filters a year, believe it or not. Most of them are teeny tiny ones that go into healthcare sectors. But to prove we're pretty good at filtration, most people have heard of Ferrari. We make their engine air filters. Don't worry, the masks that I'm going to show you today don't cost the same as a Ferrari. We're a public company. Yeah, we're everywhere. 19 different manufacturing plants, 10 R&D centres across the world. One of them is in Lancaster in the Lake District, and that's where we designed a lot of what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to gloss over this. What makes us different? We make great products. Everybody will tell you that, but we also make great products that are manufactured in the UK. So as you can imagine, last few years during the pandemic, yeah, we're an important proponent of that in terms of the kind of UK made quality stuff. And we are very much focused on improving respiratory safety through training and education, hence being here today. So out of those 12,000 deaths, what does that look like? The vast majority, or a third of them, are COPD. And I'm going to talk through that in a bit more detail, just to give you an insight relevant to what you guys will face. And we've done a little bit of work on that. Conscious that we are over an hour into a session that's been very hands-on, and I'll apologize for what I'm about to show you, but this will probably wake everybody up in terms of the severity of what it is, why it is, and how it is. This was made by Crossrail, so they spent a load of money on RPE, and struggled to get contractors to engage. So they made this. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it if it's shared sound, but you'll get the flavor even if the sound doesn't come through.
Just enjoy yourself, be yourself, yeah. Look at me, not at the camera. So, Jenny, would you consider it important to wear a dust mask in the working environment?
Oh, but you're going to the safety. Yeah, it's a bit fiddly to put on sometimes, and if you want to talk to someone, you might forget to put it back on afterwards. But no, helpful, I'm sure.
Do you wear a mask in dusty working environments?
Yeah, all the time. Well, sometimes. I actually find them quite uncomfortable.
And have you noticed any impact on your health over the last 5 years?
No, not really. I mean, some of the other lads, they cough a lot, but they're probably on like 45 a day or something.
Which side of work would you say you lead a healthy lifestyle?
So I eat pretty healthily and I have my friends around the house, but
Where do you see yourself in 10 to 15 years' time?
So as you can imagine, I watch that more frequently than I probably should. It's part of my daily life, showing people to that. And as you can imagine, we do a lot of industrial engagement days where people go, I've done this for 20 years, I've never had a problem. My dad did this, my mum worked in this factory for all her life, she never had a problem, and all that sort of stuff. But no matter who we have in the room, when you play that, it makes people stop and think, and all of a sudden switch on to, what we're talking about, because it's fairly horrible. Whether everyone's got a mother, a daughter, most daughter, sister, auntie, whatever. It's sort of, it's not nice. So, what causes it in your sector specifically? If we're looking at the whole branch of pest control, the way we see it is it can be down to chemical exposure, overexposure to dust and various particles that builds up over years and years and years, biological hazards, and then fumigants in close spaces. So we offline can absolutely talk through the details of exposure levels, safe exposure levels, and the HSE guidance around various contaminants. For the purposes of today, I've just gone based on what are the facts. So I'm not going to read all those out. Obviously, this will be available afterwards. But depending on your specialism of pest control, some of this I'm sure will be relevant to some of you. So then what does that then cause? And this is, I'm not a doctor, I don't pretend to be a doctor. We have the facts and we present them. So occupational asthma is by far one of the most common. By far one of the most common. What does COPD feel like, which is the second one down? And this is one for you at home if you want to give it a go, try breathing in 5 times in a row without breathing out. The 5th time you try and breathe in, no matter what your VO2 max is, it really hurts to try and breathe in a 5th time, just because of how your body works. COPD feels like that on every breath. There might be some people here who suffer from it acutely or not. And we hear these stories all the time. And you'll see the various, there's a rare one that's real serious in terms of scarring lung tissue around pesticides and different contaminants. That's the big one. So we're going to do a bit more detail on that one. So many studies have suggested that exposure to pesticides, especially in occupational settings, is associated with chronic bronchitis and COPD. COPD is a progressive disease with an overall function decline and reduced quality of life over time. I told you it was nice to talk about. It increases the risk of other serious health conditions, and severe COPD can lead to decreased survival rates. Essentially, what COPD does is it reduces your maximum air capacity in your lungs, and it's irreversible. It's awful. So, hard facts, as we talk about. So, symptoms may not appear for 10 to 30 years. Often people start thinking about retiring. The impact is life-changing, as we saw in the video a little minute ago. And the saddest part about all of it is it's preventable using the correct controls. So your hierarchy of risk around COSH and general safety and risk assessment, and using the correct respiratory equipment, which obviously is where we come in. The most cost-effective way to do it is through a face-fit test, and that's obviously the purpose of today, hence rushing through the why. So what is a fit test? You take a tight-fitting respirator or a mask. We've all seen one. There's a few behind me. There's a fairly unique looking one here, and we can go in that in more detail, hence wanting to get through to that Q&A quite quickly for you. So what does it do? It seals fully against the user's face. It verifies that the mask will provide the level of protection intended, i.e. the contaminated air won't actually get in, it'll be stopped by a filter. Because of people's face shapes and sizes, not every mask from a manufacturer will suit every single person. That's why a fit test helps correct the right model and size. These things come in small, medium, large, extra large. You get the right one for you. They come with a variation of different filters depending on the hazard. If a mask doesn't seal properly, contaminated air can leak in, and it will significantly reduce the protection, increasing the risk. Some people say, well, I've got something on, it's better than nothing. Imagine a hole in a bucket, and I'll show you a visual of that once I've finished the slides that shows you how the reality of what that looks like. So the main question around face fit testing, is it a legal requirement or a suggested best practice? The answer to that is it's a legal requirement in the UK. If your work involves hazardous substances under COSH and you use a tight-fitting mask, then you must have a face fit test before you use it. Fit testing must be conducted by a competent person using either a qualitative or quantitative method, and I'm going to talk through what they are. Who can do those? So you can be trained as a tester. So say you've got a wide workforce, you can have, say, a compliance manager or somebody like that who's trained as a fit tester. That's done through the Fit to Fit accreditation scheme, which is administered by the British Safety Industry Federation. And we can provide all that in terms of signposting. And that's how it works. So the test that if people have had face fit tests before, this is the one that's the most common. It's more cost effective. If you Google how much is a face fit test, you'll get an answer. It varies geographically based on number of people. Most fit testers who are professionally accredited will want to do half a day and do a team, or you can go to one of their open sessions. How does it work? It relies on a wearer's sensory detection. So we use a product called Bitrex, which is always bitter, not very often sweet anymore. So you put actually put the mask on rather than it showed on the visual there. So you have a test solution to make sure somebody is sensitive to said solution. You put the mask on and you go through a range of tests while spraying in this solution. And as soon as you get to the point that you can taste it, that's when you know if you've got a pass or a fail. And the idea being that you can't ever taste it while you've got the mask on. But it is less precise. You don't get back to session one. Some of the mathematics in that session were outstanding. This is less precise. It relies on people being honest and saying, yeah, no, I can't taste it, but it makes your eyes water. It does various things. So you can be confident in it, but it is the less precise. The one that most manufacturers, including ourselves, although we don't obviously, we shape these standards, but we don't write them, far from it. Quantitative is the one that people prefer. So what does it do? It uses a particle counting device to actually measure how much of the hazard is in and outside of the mask and in and outside of the area, which then produces a fit factor, which is displayed on the screen that goes alongside the machine. And then you've got a numeric value, and it's considered more objective and more reliable. And honestly, if somebody's coming in to do a half a day of fit testing, there's probably no difference in cost between method 1 and method 2. But what most safety professionals will say is we want to do quantitative, particularly in high risk environments. So once you've done all that, you've selected the mask, you've had it properly fitted. A fit test typically will last 2 years. Some people will policy to do a test every year based on people's weight fluctuations or various other things. Now, a fit test doesn't replace the correct day-to-day use every time a mask is worn. You still do a fit check, and depending on the type of mask, the user instructions will tell you how you do a fit check. The $1 million and most important thing is facial hair. So even me, myself, beard, stubble, moustache, sideburns, even low hairlines, where a mask seals to the face will prevent a proper seal, meaning you won't get a pass of a fit test, which means then technically you shouldn't wear the mask, or legally you shouldn't wear the mask. If tight fitting masks are suitable, what do? There's alternative types, such as a powered respirator. So if anybody does any work in asbestos, they'll be they will be familiar with powered respirators, and they've become incredibly prominent in the last few years. They don't rely on a face seal. They're loose fitting, the positive pressure. The thing behind me, which I'm sure people have noticed, you actually use that when abrasive blasting the side of a boat, for instance, to do surface treatment. But that's a loose fitting hood that you have positive air running through, rather than having a tight seal on that. Quick one, in terms of a question that we'll see if people answer it and what people think, and I'll answer it at the end. How long do people think you should wear one of these for? What's the recommended guidance that you can wear one of these for during the working day? Some people probably know the answer to that question. It'd be good to have that in the chat and see what people think that is, whether that's all day or not. So what do GVS have? We have a range of, and I've held up the Integra mask a couple of times. Why am I keen on the Integra mask? If you're around things like pollen, for instance, that can get in through your eyes as well as your airways. So if you've got a seal around your eyes as well as your mouth, you're the most protected from things that can be irritant to you. We do a half mask with the Integra. The half mask is by far the most prominent. RRP, they're 20 something quid and are filtering down to nanoparticulate level. So anything you're doing, if you've got a tight seal around any particulates, even airborne virus, for instance, around sheep, for instance, you would use a particulate filter. You only need to start looking at gases and vapors when the cost of any material, say a disinfectant or something like that, if that says you need to use gas and vapor filters, that's when you'd need more than a particulate filter. Half looking at the time as well. So the half mask is the lightest in the world. We have a pattern on the shape of the filter. So rather than it being like this against your face, some of the larger cartridge filters, ours essentially looks like that. So you have a better field of vision. So if you're climbing up the side of a building onto a roof based on session 1, you can see more around you. You can see what's under your feet, so on and so forth. It's modular. You can wear spectacles with it. You can wear hard hats over it. It doesn't steam up safety glasses, and it has a low breathing resistance, and it's proven to have an outstanding fit. The Integra is the thing I've held up a few times. It's exactly what I just said, just with an integrated goggle. We do a safety spec that you can fit prescription eyewear lenses into, so you can take it from opticians and have those fit, so they're in there all the time. It doesn't fog, can be low profile. Gives you an impact rate advisor if you're doing any remedial works as well. Full face, exactly the same thing. Again, more prominent in unlicensed asbestos works, but again, fits under a hard hat, can be worn with eyewear, offers the maximum protection if you're doing a face fit test. Conscious that this is a bit of a sales pitch around products, so I'm going to do it at a real pace. By all means, people can get in touch, ask questions at the end if we really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it. So, what is a PAPR? And what are the benefits? You have unrestricted freedom of movement. In fact, I'm going to jump across. So, what is the benefit of a PAPR? So, key point, why would you need to buy a PAPR if you've got users that are being exposed to airborne contaminants that have facial hair? You need to give them a loose fitting solution. This is a loose fitting solution. So what does it do? It has a fan unit, and you can see it on the back there, that essentially draws in the air, puts it through the hose into the head top, which gives you filtered air, again, down to a nanoparticulate level. Doesn't require face fit testing. Operators can have facial hair, wear prescription lens, glasses, lose or gain weight without compromising the level of protection. And for anybody who does struggle with asthma and various other respiratory illnesses, this is a far better solution because it gives you so much clean air and gives you a greater level of respiratory protection. As a result, you can do complete head, eye, hearing protection. And you've got an unrestricted range of movement. Once it's on, you can wear it. Well, the battery will run for 11 hours. So in theory, you can run it for 11 hours, and they are comfortable to wear all day. So what does ours do? It's 116. It's 116 kilos. Can you imagine? It's 1.16 kilos with a P3 filter. You forget you have it on. It lasts for 12 hours. It's engineered for safety. So when the battery goes low or if it has a problem, it'll vibrate on your back. You'll hear an alarm through the hose. You can get up to 230 litres of air per minute. Usain Bolt, after he wins an Olympic gold medal, breathes in 110 litres of air a minute. So you can never, ever, ever, ever outbreathe this thing. It's designed for industry. So it's IP65 rated, which means it's dust and waterproof or water resistant in use. So you can use it in the rain, you can use it in all weathers. Comfortable, it's really lightweight, has a directional airflow, multiple body mounting positions, and it's designed for use essentially through the whole life of steel, to be honest. So anything you do in heavy industry, that's built to stand up to it. So we're very confident in field operations with it. And we're very confident using it in places where we don't know what we're walking into, which could happen, I suppose, in an emergency call-out situation. That's the end of my slides. So thank you very much. The one thing I do want to show you real quickly, just so you can see in terms of the hole in the bucket analogy, is this visual here. So what I'm also going to do, and I can open the chat now and just see what you guys have been saying, hopefully, is probably that you can't hear me. That'd be hilarious. The image below shows particulates that are smaller than a hair follicle. So a human hair, bear in mind this isn't drawn exactly to scale, but a human hair is that many microns. We'll pick on COVID. A virus, as you can see, is 20 times smaller. So one human hair with a mask will allow it all through. Hole in a bucket. Take the path of least resistance. Plant spore is a little bit better. You've got more of a chance, but it's still a long way off. And crystalline silica, which is more prominent in construction, is the real nasty one. That is sort of the new age asbestos. So anybody doing anything around block work, remedial works, cutting stone, that's the one that you have to be really concerned about. Niall, I can see you're here and ready to rock, so fire away, buddy.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's good that you mentioned silica, because HSC have done a huge amount of work with the silica exposure recently, haven't they? And
Yeah.
there is the element of pest controllers using silica dust themselves for sort of controlling pests as well. So it's a
Yes,
nice
absolutely.
tie in there as well. So no, appreciate that. So we've got a few people asking for quotes, but I'll get you to sort that out off
Sure.
this. So we do have a question come in. So we have someone saying they use a pure flow powered respirator helmet, but they cannot find filters or batteries. Did you want to reach out to him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
let all the ones, because I can see them now. I'm looking at it on the right of the
yeah.
screen. So anything around specific filters for fogging, we can help with that. How much it is, we can absolutely answer offline, obviously. The chappie in the Cotswolds, we can put you in touch with somebody for certain. And the one who wants a quote, we would do it via a distribution outlet. But we absolutely can support and service that as well. With us having a bit of time, Niall, I think we have got a bit of time, haven't we?
We have got a couple of minutes. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to sort of expand on, sort of a little bit with the stuff? So I mean, you've gone for obviously through face fit testing. There was a quip about whether or not a face fit test would fit me, but I did have to have one of the powered units, and I had to tuck my beard up underneath it to make sure it
Yeah,
worked properly. But honestly,
absolutely.
they were really comfy. Doing clothes moth
Yeah,
sprays for like 6 hours a day in a Tyvex and one of them in summer, it was lovely. It felt like cold air.
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like you can see, this is my home office, and I live around this stuff all day, and I'm just so enthused by this business and this brand in terms of what we can do, and that piece around. There's a product real quick. There's a product that we do, and it's all to do with airlines, so not particularly relevant here, but it's basically a climate control device. So you can heat the air that's being pulled in through airlines. So when you're attached to a compressor, so licensed asbestos work, for instance, you can heat the air by 28 degrees. So say it's you pulling in like 2 degrees because it's, and it feels colder because of how fast it moves through and that. You can heat it by 28 degrees. But you can do the opposite. You can cool by 18. Literally like having aircon. It's brilliant. But the one thing I've got just quick, we have an e-learning platform which is completely free. We can set people up on it. I'll jump on screen share because there's a facial hair module that's probably going to take 2 minutes just to sort of run through. And I think that's probably well worth doing. Jeremy, by the way, spot on the button with how long you can wear a tight fitting mask for. So Jeremy wins the prize that we need to decide what it is. And thank you, Lainey. Just noticed you've said that was helpful. So I'm glad. So this is the e-learning platform, trusting everybody can see it. And I've shared the right screen. So it's a little bit geared for the US, but we'll work with it. So we've already done this a little bit. You get a negative pressure respirator, you get a positive pressure respirator. So we've done that bit already. And I will walk through this. So what does facial hair have to do with respiratory protection? You can have this, by the way, completely free. It gives you a certificate at the end that is useful even if you don't use our product. This is fairly useful to have in a personnel file to say that somebody understands facial hair and respiratory protection. So the OSHA standard we're going to ignore because it's relevant to the US. Diagram, not scale, violating the standard. The fines I don't touch on in the presentation, but if somebody can demonstrate that they've had previous exposure and takes to court, it's not good at all, especially not with the HSE, especially in very, very large organisations, because it's based on the cost of a human life and what you can afford. It's uncapped nowadays. I'm sure now you've done bits and pieces on fines for intervention from the HSE before, so we'll not go on that. But the one thing I will do is I'll highlight this number and I'll highlight this number because there's a quiz part of this, and I'm pretty sure one of those numbers is in it. So how can you keep your facial hair? Unfortunately now, if you want to wear a tight fitting mask, you definitely can't keep yours, but you can keep some. So tight fitting respirators and negative pressure, true or false? Well, we know that's true. We spoke about that in enough detail. So I'm going to answer that one for you. Quick one, and I'm going to try and bring the chat up, but it's a bit more difficult in screen share. So Niall, if you don't mind sort of just shouting out people's numbers,
Yep.
This isn't bad actually, because it only lets you pick 4. So we're looking at this and looking for 4 different facial hair types. I'm hoping you can see it all right on screen share, where we think actually you'd still get away with using a mask. So the first one you can have for free because this one's clean shaven, so this one's a tick. If anybody wants to just, and Niall, if you don't mind shouting out any numbers that people think probably would pass as well.
Yeah, as soon as they start coming in. So which ones are going to pass?
So we're looking at ones where you can get a seal round, still
we've
get a
got
seal round.
2, 3, and 11.
Okay, so we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 11. Thank you to whoever guessed those.
That's Anna.
Thank you. So unfortunately, 11 and 2 are incorrect. But we know we got 1 and 3. So 3's bang on. Bit of a clue there. 2's incorrect. 11's incorrect.
I feel like maybe 8. No, hang on. I'm trying to see on my screen. Would 6 work?
Let's try 6 then. So we'll try.
And Anna now changed her mind. She said 6 apparently.
Okay. Let's just do. I'm going to do 11 again, just because we know that's wrong. So we've got another one. 6 is there. So we've got one more we're looking for.
Got 12. Everyone seems to be going for 12.
We'll try a 12. We've got a 12.
There we go. So these are Movember beard, which is approved for face masks, is what
Exactly
I'm
that.
hearing.
Yeah. But it's interesting, isn't it? How you would sort of immediately look at maybe 11, and maybe 5, but actually 5 doesn't. Actually, 4 doesn't. So yeah, so it shows you that you can have some facial hair, but anything that impacts the seal at all is where it goes very wrong. And without getting too much into the detail of it, the amount of the amount that your hair grows during a day, you could pass in a morning and fail in an evening. Genuinely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. So failing to comply with fit testing will result in what type of OSHA violation? I'm pretty sure that's serious. But again, that's relevant to the US, so we'll skip over that. And actually, guys, that's the length of the module. So technically speaking, everybody who was involved in that, in theory, could now have this certificate. But as you can imagine, on this platform, there's absolutely loads of things. So even things down to, I mean, it's behind me, you can see it in the picture, but let me point the right way. How to maintain that, why you're using that, what it protects from, what it doesn't protect from, so on and so forth. So yeah, guys, there's a whistle stop of fit testing. What it is.
Awesome. No, thank you. And I think it's certainly something that I think it is a contentious issue, and I think it is important, especially for people who've been doing it a while who maybe have forgotten it, and then also for younger people coming in as well to make sure they're here for a long time.
Absolutely.
As well,
yeah, absolutely.
You do. I mean, you can get more lungs, but there's long waiting lists and other ways are frowned upon. So
you should probably avoid it where possible.
it's good advice, isn't it? Well, no, I super appreciate you coming on. Everyone's found it really, really enjoyable, and we're going to reach out to you to get the modules. We'll send that out to everyone else as well. And if you can just pop your contact details in the chat, because I think you're going to be quite busy this afternoon, judging by all the questions you've got.
Yeah, no problem. Look, I'll stick around for the whole session as well because I'm really intrigued by it. So I'll disappear, but I'll be here.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Well, excellent. So we have run slightly over. What we'll do, we'll come back in about 10 minutes. If we call that 11:05, so if everyone wants to go up, stretch their legs, go grab a brew, coffee, and yeah, we'll see you back in about 10 minutes or so. Thank you very much, everyone.